Hey, what's going on, folks? I have a very special done for you offer today that I'd like to share, but it is limited. I only have copies for 5 Kindle authors. So if this is a fit for you, I want to make sure you get all the information that you need and you can take action in a timely fashion. What I've put together for you today is a complete, done for you, ready to publish 3 book series with everything you need to become a bestseller. I'll even promote the books for you. And that's where a lot of people get stuck on the promotion after the book is done. I'm going to take care of that for you. I've worked with several authors over the past few months, helping them to write, publish, and promote their books. Here is one example of an author that was able to get to about 10,800 in the paid Kindle store. Another example, a different book, different author, was able to get to 10,100 in the Kindle store, and yet another that got to 7,800 in the paid Kindle store. These books are completely professionally done, edited, written, and you get the full publishing rights. That means I can't release these books, and no one else can release these books. They've actually never been published before. So here's what you're getting. You're getting 3 high-quality books in the contemporary romance genre. They are all clean romance, and they're 10,000 words each. These books they come with professionally designed book covers. The images have been paid for, they've been licensed, the covers have been beautifully designed based on what's currently selling in the Amazon store. You're also going to get 3 professionally written book descriptions that will compel people to buy. You're getting 3 sets of researched and tested keywords for your books. You're getting professional editing. A lot of authors miss this. Professional editing on all 3 books. They've been checked. They are ready to go. You're even getting the done for you marketing. So after you publish the books, after you load them into your account and they're live, we will promote those books for you to until they get to the 10,000 rank or better in the Kindle paid store. You're going to be the only person with these 3 books in your series. You can buy more than one series, by the way, but they will be unique to you. You get full publishing rights, and as a huge bonus to make sure you have everything you need for long-term success, I'm making available my entire library of Kindle products. That's a massive, massive value. Again, we don't leave you hanging with the books in your hand. Once you upload them, we actually help you promote them and help them get off to a hot start. Everything you need to get started is in this package. The books are ready to publish. You just upload them into your Kindle account. Plus, you get access to all of my Kindle products. But again, this is extremely limited. It's only available for 5 authors. That's all the inventory I have right now for 5 authors. And that's not 5 individual books. That's 5 individual series. 5 different series. Each series has at least 3 books in it. If this is a fit for you, click the button below right now. Take action, get more information, and don't get locked out of this deal. I'm very excited to share this with you, and I can't wait to work with you on your successful best-selling series.